Bear down, Chicago Bears. On April 25, the Chicago Bears will be in Detroit, Michigan, not to take on the Lions, but to take on the rest of the NFL in the NFL draft. And at that time, they're going to have to make a clear decision on who the future of this franchise will be. To this point, there's been debate about whether or not Justin Fields is the future, or do you take Caleb Williams? And that debate will continue to reign until we get to draft day. But one thing that should not be debatable is who the generational talent is in this draft. Now, before I get started, guys, if you like this type of content, then make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, and the bell to be notified of future content. But the generational talent that's not in debate. There is a debate over who the best quarterback is. Most of the consensus does say Caleb Williams, but there are a few people out here who say that Drake May, with his larger frame, might just be the better NFL talent. But there is no debating who the biggest and most talented person is in the upcoming draft. And that, my friends, is Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the son of an NFL legend. An NFL legend, so much so that, in fact, let me break down just a little bit about Marvin Harrison to give you an idea of why Marvin Harrison Jr. is such a generational athlete. First of all, Marvin Harrison from 1998 to 2006 was the probably one of the best receivers to ever play the game. Certainly one of the quietest, one of the most diligent, one of the guys with one of the best work ethics that anyone had ever seen in the NFL up to this point. And this was one of the men that helped Peyton Manning win a Super Bowl for Indianapolis, beating the Chicago Bears, I might add, when we had good Rex and bad Rex and Kyle. So, and if anybody remembers that, give me a shout out. Make sure you leave a comment down below and remind me of good Rex and bad Rex. What do you remember from that season? But I digress. Marvin Harrison, 6 foot tall, 185 pounds, 179 playing weight, was one of the most prolific wide receivers in history. Most receptions in an 8 season period. These are NFL records for Marvin Harrison Jr. Most games in a career with at least 8 receptions, 9 receptions, 11, and 12 receptions. Most consecutive games with at least 6 receptions and 9. Most consecutive seasons with at least 5 touchdowns. Most consecutive seasons with at least 6 touchdowns. Most consecutive seasons with at least 5 touchdown receptions and 6 touchdown receptions. And plenty of different records, right? They have the NFL record, Marvin Harrison and Peyton Manning, most completions between a wide receiver and a quarterback. Most touchdowns between a wide receiver and a quarterback. 114. Guys, I can't tell you. These are fantastic. Marvin Harrison Jr., work ethic unmatched. Now, Marvin Harrison, work ethic rewarded. Going back to February of 2016, we were talking about how he was this guy and what he meant to the NFL and what he meant to the Indianapolis Patriots and the Indianapolis Colts and what he meant to Peyton Manning. Everything. This guy sparked of eliteness. He was one of the greatest of all time, finishing his career with 1,102 receptions for 14,580 yards, 128 touchdowns, average reception rate of 13.2 yards. Guys, think about 13.2 yards in the NFL today when we have the short, more West Coast offense, if you will, a little bit of a shorter passing game. 13.2 yards per reception for a career, and ranks out here on this list right here. 33rd team lists Jerry Rice as number 1, Marvin Harrison as the number 6 all-time receivers. Unbelievable. And in fact, if you come over here and look at the rankings of yardage, then you can see here he ranks at number 9 all-time yards, 14,580. Steve Smith, Tim Brown, Tony Gonzalez. There are a lot of guys out here with a lot of yardage, but Marvin Harrison was a special guy. And that leads us to Marvin Harrison's son. What if I told you that you could draft Marvin Harrison, but he was 4 inches taller, 20 pounds heavier, and faster, way faster, in fact. Marvin Harrison Jr. is one of the fastest people to ever play this game. He's one of the more accurate receivers to ever play this game. And you know where he got his work ethic? from his dad. So you have a bigger version of one of the greatest receivers to ever play this game. And look, nepotism in a lot of athletics does not end well. The Jordan kids, Bronny James. There are a lot of kids. There are a lot of different kids and kids of kids, et cetera, who've not worked out in athletics. Marvin Harrison Jr. looks like somebody who's just built differently. And this is not a testament to what may happen to his career. Anything could happen. This is the NFL, which means not for long if you don't do the right things, right? But in 2023, Marvin Harrison had 67 receptions for 1,211 yards, 14 touchdowns, with an average reception of 18.1 yards, winning the Biletnikoff Award as the best wide receiver in all of college football. Now, the only person making the comparison that, hey, maybe, just maybe, I'm a better receiver, Malik Neighbor with similar stats, Roma Dunze with similar stats. But when you watch the talent on the field, when you watch the game and you slow it down, nobody matches up to Marvin Harrison Jr., especially when you want to make that transition into the NFL. Just imagine your favorite receiver, now a bigger version. This is the generational talent in the NFL draft. But let's take it a step further here. There is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s unmatched work ethic. Remember where we talked about that before? Yes, from his father. The tale of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s work ethic have followed him throughout his Ohio State career. They began with pre-dawn workout sessions as a freshman, which often were bookended by return trips to the facility that led to Buckeye coaches tossing him out after midnight. They continued with a practice temperament so fierce he once threatened to boycott team workouts after slipping in a speed workout and losing the top spot in an off-season competition. The crown jewel of Harrison Jr.'s competitive anecdotes compilation came at the hotel lobby of a bowl site when the staff set up a jugs machine for him to get extra work. Halfway through what's presumed to be Harrison Jr.'s final season at Ohio State, he's taken his prototype wide receiver frame and the Hall of Fame tutoring of his father and nurtured those gifts to the Ohio State receiver room, the country's best incubator for future NFL pass catching stars. This is a guy of unparalleled dedication, hype, ability. This is one of the greatest receivers that we will ever see. And here is the kicker to it. This is the generational talent. This is the guy who changes the dynamic of the Chicago Bears. There are plenty of arguments that you could make about any number of different quarterbacks. And I would posit that these guys are familiar with one another and that Justin Fields and Marvin Harrison Jr. knew each other from their days at Ohio State. And look, are they on the same field? Are they playing the same game together? No, but that's not the point. The point is once you've become once you've gone to college and once you've joined that camaraderie, you see each other. Justin Fields goes back to Columbus. He revisits Ohio State. He talks to these players. He comes in. So he knows Marvin Harrison Jr. He's familiar with him. He watches Ohio State games. He knows the work. He sees the talent over there. So it'll be a great matchup. Now, does that change the trajectory of this draft? No, it doesn't. But I posit that this is the generational talent, the athlete that everybody wants to have on their team. And in fact, if I could be so bold as to point out here, the Seahawks pointed out that Jackson Smith Njigba had 63 receptions, second most receptions by a Seahawk rookie of all time. And you know who his coach was? Shane Waldron. Shane Waldron of the Chicago Bears. So what we're talking about here is a generational talent that could be utilized by a coach who knows what a generational talent could do with a quarterback that we believe still has tremendous upside despite some of the recent performances. There's been some questions about Justin Fields, but I don't think that there should be in the long term. I think we should all recognize that despite some of the inconsistencies that we have seen, Justin Fields is also a very good talent. Is he generational? That remains for the history books. At this point, we see it in Marvin Harrison Jr. We see the potential in Justin Fields, the realization of which we'll see whether that happens or not. But I just want to show you, this is what it looks like to have Marvin Harrison Jr. on your team, making catches that other people absolutely cannot make. Not only Does he make the catch? We move forward and we see this, the catch radius, but look at this. This is the foot down out of nowhere, does not put his other foot down, gets in bounds. This is the type of playmaking that's been missing from the Bears for a period of time. Love DJ Moore, but this is Marvin Harrison Jr. DJ Moore, tremendous receiver. He's not 6'4", 205 pounds of going up, getting the ball, and making this game easy. Now, that's not enough to convince you. This is Marvin Harrison down here. This right here, right now, this is what's missing from the Chicago Bears. This is what's missing from this team. It is the ability to get open quickly and in space. If you're wondering who this is the best, allegedly, this is the best defender cornerback in college football, arguably, just getting played from Marvin Harrison Jr. And we see it everywhere. This is Marvin Harrison Jr. against Rutgers, just going up, pulling the ball out of air, finding the way to get his feet inbounds and making the plays. Guys, Marvin Harrison Jr. represents everything that the Chicago Bears have needed. I know that there are a lot of people who said, well, we've never had a great or tremendous quarterback. And if you grant me that there's been quarterbacks who can make a lot of throws, they can make a lot of completions, but what about the generational wide receiver? What about that generational talent that makes everybody better? What about that guy that complements DJ Moore, that allows any quarterback, well coached, to make all of the reads, throws, and plays that they need to in order to escape situations, in order to do whatever is needed to be done? I would argue that Justin Fields has the capacity and ability to do that. And I would also argue that Ryan Poles would be making a grave mistake for the future of the Chicago Bears if he were to pass, see what I did there, on Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. represents the greatest opportunity, in my opinion, for the Chicago Bears to become an elite, dare I say, Super Bowl contending team immediately, not in the future, in the immediate present. This team changes dramatically with the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr. Folks, from now until draft time, I'm going to be putting out these videos about these talented young athletes that are coming up, that are going to be in the draft, and we're going to talk about them. And I'm going to tell you what I think of them and how they fit into the NFL and if they are a good option for the Chicago Bears. Now, these are going to be my opinions, but my opinion of all of this will end at one point. I would, if I thought that Justin Fields was arguably merely okay, I would still be telling you to go with Justin Fields. And I don't think he is, by the way. I think that he's a very good and very talented and very an improving quarterback as we go. And I think that Justin Fields has the capacity and the ability to be a very good quarterback in the NFL. But this is a different level. This is a generational person that will take you to a promised land if you use the dynamics that he presents to you the correct way. This is another level. This is Marvin Harrison Jr. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. At the end of this, I will tell you that my pick for the first pick, whatever that first pick may be for the Chicago Bears, and we'll go over draft at some point soon, but my pick is going to be Marvin Harrison Jr., and it will not change. It will not change. It will always be Marvin Harrison Jr. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and let's bear down.